Batman was directed by Matt Reeves and stars Robert Pattinson as the Caped Crusader. And in this movie, we see a young Batman taking on a case of a new serial killer taking down Gotham's elites, and Batman must figure out who it is before it goes too far. This, besides Spider-Man No Way Home, was my most anticipated movie for a long time. I mean, when I saw the trailer, I was blown away. I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but I wasn't one of those people that said, oh my god, Robert Pattinson's gonna be a terrible Batman. No, I was one of the people that have seen his movies beyond Twilight and realized that he's a really good actor and could bring something new to the role, and boy did he. Yeah, let me start off with the biggest positive of this movie. It is Robert Pattinson as Batman. Look, a lot of people are already arguing over who's the best Batman of all time. Well, here's the thing. This is just me. In terms of who is the best Batman, I think it will always be Kevin Conroy. Like, when I read a comic, I always read it in his voice, so he will always be Batman for me. But the cool thing about Batman as a character, look, Batman has talked about this multiple times. He is not a person. He is a true symbol. And look, the cool thing about comic books and superheroes is that they've been made in so many different ways that it applies to so many people. That's the beauty of comic book writers and comic books in general. You've seen the zany, wacky Batman like with Adam West. Then you've seen the dark, brooding Batman like with Ben Affleck and like The Dark Knight Returns. Then, of course, you have that perfect mix of comedy and darkness like Kevin Conroy in Batman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. Pattinson, without a doubt, is the darkest live-action Batman. Like, I mean, from a character standpoint. This is ridiculous. Like, when Ben Affleck was in Batman vs. Superman, I know people were like, oh my god, this is such a dark Batman. Yeah, that's like a cakewalk compared to what we got here. We have a Bruce Wayne who is just completely cut off from everybody. I mean, he even treats Alfred like not even a friend. He treats him like a stranger. Like, he barely even communicates with him. He is not the Bruce Wayne that we're used to, that playboy billionaire that likes to mess around and put on a mask. No. He's like a hermit when he's inside Wayne Manor. He actually likes being Batman. That's his true face, and I love that about him. And plus, he is a much more brutal Batman, and it shows in the movie because the one thing that I loved is that they showed how much the criminals fear him. I know they kind of touched on it in other Batman movies, especially in Batman 89 when they show the bat signal. They're like, oh my god, we gotta get out of here. This one is where the first one where I saw like genuine fear come out of these criminals. Like, some of them were wearing masks, and when they saw the bat signal, they were like, oh my god, I gotta go. That's so cool. That was such a great, touch there by Matt Reeves, and it helps that Robert Pattinson's performance backs up that. Let me keep talking about Batman, and let me say the suit is really nice. And one thing I will say is that this is a crime noir film, so this is unlike any Batman movie we have seen. I mean, we hear narration. This is the first time I've seen narration in a Batman movie, and I love that. I know I've seen some in some cool short films that some people like to make about Batman, and a lot of the comics are like a noir book where you get to hear the narration from Batman's perspective. This is the first time that we get to see that, and it works so well because Robert Pattinson has a good Batman voice. So it helps that the suit looks amazing, that the narration is great, the storytelling weaves perfectly through Batman's perspective, and I just love that so much. And yeah, the Batmobile is incredible. I will still say that the Tumbler is still my personal favorite Batmobile, but this one might be a very, very close second. This is awesome! When I heard the engine turn on and that blue flame started coming out, you just felt it. Like, you felt your entire body just vibrating, just hearing every single ounce of that car moving as fast as possible. Just an incredible Batmobile and great sound mixing by the production crew. Also, speaking of which, Batman's a straight-up detective in this movie. I haven't seen anything like this since the Arkham games. Now, The Dark Knight kind of touched on him being a detective when he was matching up the bullet holes to, like, the bricks. When he, like, had a gun and shot it, like, 5 times and he matched the bullet. That was cool. But other than that, you didn't really see a lot of detective work in the Nolan trilogy. This one was pure detectiveness. There was this cool little tech he had to where he was able to revisit crime scenes, and it very much reminded me of detective mode in the Arkham games. So it was so cool to see that, and man, this movie was just a love letter to Batman comics, video games. It was just its own take on Batman, but it also honored the source material. And with every great Batman, you need a good villain, and Paul Dano's Riddler is so good. It is so good. It was like a perfect mix of like Riddler, then Jigsaw, and then like Seven, like Zodiac, all those like famous killers we've seen in Hollywood are just like perfectly mixed together with this character, and I loved it. The riddles were actually a lot more complicated and actually were an integral part of the Batman story. You know, when you had Jim Carrey's Riddler, some of them actually were important to the story, but other ones were just there. Like, they didn't really accomplish anything. So this is the first time since the Batman Arkham games where the riddles that we get from the Riddler actually make sense and are very integral to the plot itself. So I love that the riddles actually challenge you and actually make you think. And it also helps that the Riddler himself is absolutely terrifying. Like, I would never ever want to be in the same room as him because I know I will be killed no matter what I do. I really like Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I think she definitely needs another film for me to say that she probably is the best Catwoman. We just didn't get enough of her. I thought what she was dealt with was amazing. Whatever they gave her, she knocked it out of the park. But I do think if we get another film with her and they give her more screen time, I think she will definitely, without a doubt, be everybody's favorite live-action Catwoman. And kind of going along with that, the reason why I love this Batman and this Catwoman so much is the action scenes were very well done. I love the choreography. There wasn't a lot of cuts to where it was kind of jarring like a Marvel movie. I've always said the biggest weakness of Marvel movies is that the action scenes are very cut. Like, you don't really get, your eyes have to keep adjusting every 5 seconds to know what's going on. This one, there were a lot of like good one takes. There were a lot of good long shots that make you see all the choreography that was done well. And the sound mixing was so good to the point where you felt every hit. You actually felt like bones were breaking and that blood was being like just drawn if this movie was rated R, I feel like Reeves would not have held back, and every punch you would have seen just blood splatter everywhere like you do in an anime. So I love the fight choreography. It was very well done. And what helps is that the lighting, just the whole tone of this movie was so cool and gothic that it just made the fight scenes even better. And yeah, going along with that, you know, I haven't seen a movie this like beautiful set-wise since Tim Burton's Batman movies. One thing I always credited to Tim Burton was that Gotham looked like this like mysterious gothic place where like you don't know what's happening, like what's going on in the shadows. Nolan's films were more of a realistic take, so it actually looks like you're in like a realistic city in, you know, the modern world. But this one was the perfect mix of realistic city and gothic mysterious city to where you don't know what's going on at night, where it actually looks like you need to lock your doors and stay in. And even then, that might not be enough to remain safe in Gotham. Oh yeah, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. That was a shocker. He didn't have as big as a role as I thought he was going to have. I thought he'd have an even bigger role, at least be in more scenes, but man, he was so funny. This movie doesn't use a lot of humor, but most of the humor comes from Gordon and from the Penguin, and Colin Farrell as the Penguin was so funny. He looked so different. Like, I would not have guessed that was Colin Farrell. That was ridiculous. Because he's so different from Danny DeVito, I can't really compare them, because Penguin himself is such an interesting character to where, like, he's one of the more inconsistent characters throughout comics and video games, to the point where, like, you can't necessarily say, like, that is Penguin. You can't necessarily say that because he's such a unique character that any take on him works. I also loved Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. What makes Gordon such an interesting character is that no matter what is going on, no matter how terrible Gotham is going, his faith in Batman never ever goes away. It doesn't lessen in any way. And in this movie, it shows it a lot. I'm not going to spoil anything for y'all. I don't want to do that. But there are certain moments where it looks like, oh man, Gordon could do something. But no, he's always like, I trust you. I trust you. And I thought that was so good. Amazing. Such a great James Gordon. I can't wait to see more of him. Now, I don't necessarily have any negatives about this movie. I do only have one thing that I was a little, a little irked about. The way Batman flew. He flew like, what, one time in this movie? I thought the suit of how he flew was a bit goofy. Like, you know, not to spoil anything, but he was running out of the GCPD and he was on the roof and he like puts on this weird parachute thing and like it kind of inflates and he like jumps. I just thought it looked a little bit too goofy for me, but then again, Batman's only been Batman for 2 years, so he doesn't know how to fly properly. So I'm hoping that in the next movie, whenever that comes, he's a way more experienced Batman, so he finds a different way to fly, and I think that will help a lot. Overall, guys, the Batman met my expectations and then some. This was such an amazing movie. And yeah, even though it was 3 hours long, I didn't feel like it was 3 hours at all. Even though, yeah, there were some parts where I was like, man, this is starting to get long. I loved every second of it. I wanted this movie to be longer, to be honest. Like, I could watch a 5-hour movie, no problem, in this Gotham, and I would love every single second of it. I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the next movie. Because again, no spoilers, but they tease something, and I'm very excited. Can you not tell how excited I am right now? Yeah, they tease something near the end of this movie, and yeah, I'm very much excited. But for now, I'm just going to settle on this movie, and I'm giving it an A+. Just an amazing thrill ride with an amazing score, an amazing suit. Did I mention that Batmobile is incredible? Yeah, it's awesome. The Batman is straight up incredible. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.